It's like, as I said, if you took a line from the right cornerback through the quarterback and then towards you, that's about where the shot is, if I'm describing it in any way accurately.
Okay. Listen, I'll take the all-22 shot. I mean, I spend a lot of time looking at that. I know more and more guys like Seth Kaiser, Barton Simmons at CBS, who do the great film breakdowns on different things. They use those lines, and I think those all 22s. I think as football fans, we're immersing ourselves so much, and I think even in soccer, could use the all 22s to see, at least as replays to see the runs being made.
I think in replays, I agree in replays. I don't think I want it. I wouldn't want to watch the all 22 the whole time. And I also think maybe the average fan wouldn't like that much because they figure, get me a little closer to the action. But certainly for replays, I totally agree with you. And for soccer, I have watched soccer from some stadiums where the view plane is further away, so you are getting more of all 22. And I find that I still want it a little bit closer. For replay, I think it's great. I don't know if I'd want it for an entire game.
Okay, but I will give credit to whoever gave that a shot. I don't even remember if it was ESPN or Fox or who did it, but I loved it, and I think they need more of it. They need to get there, and I think they need to get to some of that instant breakdown on it. All right, let's take a break. Danny is in the south of France. I don't even know if you are in the south part or not. I just want to say that.
Yes.
Okay, he's in the south of France. And joining us via the miracle technology called the telephone. He's on our Sprint guest line is what it is. We'll talk more with Danny Klingsky. I want to get some of the reaction to the Champions League. Or do we have heroes or goats? How does the European press handle that kind of stuff? We'll talk some Royals baseball with Danny as well.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you worked for other companies in the construction industry. What inspired you to start your own company in Easton Roofing?
Well, Danny, when you are working for somebody else, you oftentimes don't get to see the project through from beginning to end, and you don't get the final control over the customer experience. And I wanted to build a place where people can come and get work done on their house and not have to worry about being treated the wrong way and get a good customer service experience start to finish.
The company slogan is Where Integrity Matters. Why is that so particularly important to you?
Well, for us, what that means is treating each other with respect at work, treating our clients with respect, and making the right choice, especially when no one's looking. So when you're presented all the time as a contractor with choices that have to be made, are you going to make more money on this if you cut a corner? And we just wanted to make a place and a slogan that said to our people and to whoever is our customer, we're not going to do that. We're going to make the right choice regardless of profit.
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
Before we welcome Danny back in from halfway around the world, Dan, you're in France right now, but speaking of trivia, something happened on this date. Here's a little piece of audio that might make you feel a little closer to home.
Orr fights to keep it in. Has it in the corner to Sanderson. Back in front to Orr. Shot. Scores! Bobby Orr from Sanderson! And what could be better than that?
49 years ago today, the flying goal by Bobby Orr to beat the St. Louis Blues in OT for the Cup.
It's a good thing you celebrated it here on the 49th, because on the 50th anniversary, it's next year a leap year? It's not. On the 50th anniversary, it is a leap year, isn't it?
Yes, it'll be on a Sunday.
It'll be on a Sunday. So we will not be able to observe it on the actual 50th. So we went ahead and did it on the 49th. We knew it was either going to be Saturday or Sunday, and I had to think about it. It's leap year, so it'll be a Sunday next year. So there it is, Danny. Little hockey treasure. And you sure as hell are old enough to remember it.
I sure as hell am. It was the thing that was interesting. It was about 85 degrees that day, and there's no air conditioning in the Boston Garden. And in the background of the flying goal picture, which I have an autographed copy of, courtesy of my wife, a great present she got me a few years ago, there are many fans who have leaped to their feet to celebrate the goal who are shirtless in the crowd at a hockey game.
Really?
Many.
I won't say shirtless was a familiar sight, but in the 80s when the Celtics were in the finals, there was a lot of shots of fat guys with opened-up button-up shirts. You saw a lot of fat bellies. circling Boston Garden. So yeah, I at some point I know the AC wasn't maybe in vogue when it was built, but you can add stuff, can't you? I mean, after 30, 40, 50 years, maybe you
Boston Garden was a hellhole.
Yeah, it was a dump.
I mean, and it did not have. In fact, I know there were some Bruins playoff games where they were having a hard time keeping the ice. They were getting fog and different stuff like that. That they were absolutely had to build a new building. The parquet floor and all was cute, but the building sucked so bad because they were having a hard time even having the ice. If they got deep into the game, it was trouble.
I guess for the Bruins,
or deep into the playoffs.
Into the playoffs,
it was trouble.
Yeah, the playoffs were shorter than they are now. They didn't have as many games and many rounds, and so as you mentioned, we're just starting the conference finals now, and that was the end of the Stanley Cup finals. So we're 3 or 4 weeks ahead of schedule back then. So it wasn't as warm as it would have been. And they weren't in the finals that many times. They weren't twice. I think they won it in 70 and 72, but they didn't get back to the final again for another 15, 20 years. So
at least, wasn't it?
I think it was. I think
it was last run. Was that the first time they were back in since then? I think.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah, it was a long, dark.
It's more like
spell
30,
for the Bruins.
40 years, I think, before the Bruins got there. I might be missing one that was in there, but that's what I remember. We lost Danny, so I don't know, something's going on in France. Oh, no, we have him, I'm being told. Tough to read the always negative body language of Jed. I thought that was the action of a defeated man when he spun around with a look on his face like failure had just occurred. But no, we have Danny back now. I do love these.
Treasure every moment, Soren.
We do.
Treasure every moment.
We do. That we do. And I love this shirtless idea. We were just talking about how bad the old Boston Garden was. That they were shirtless because they were hot, and it was a hockey game. Tell you how bad Boston Garden was, right? That's what it was, or were they just morons?
It was hot in there, and they, like I said, no air conditioning. And in fact, when they redid the ice after each period in that game, it stayed wet. You know how it looks there right when they finished resurfacing the ice. It always looks wet, but then of course it freezes back up, and it absolutely looked wet. And I've always thought the most interesting, Bobby Orr to me is the greatest hockey player ever, and many people do not agree with that assessment. They think it's Wayne Gretzky or somebody else. But I think the way he changed the sport, and the defenseman has neither before or since ever come close to winning the scoring title, which he did. But that's an argument for another day. But the flying goal itself is somewhat of a ruse because he really scored the goal, then was tripped and flew through the air. Exactly. It wasn't as if he was flying when he scored it, but still it makes for a great image, and it was a great goal, and it was a great moment in Boston Bruins history.
I mean, it speaks, we were talking about broadcasting in the last segment. It does speak to the changing times. Back then, the newspaper and a photograph was what told the story. And today, what tells the story a lot of times, the written word is not dead, and this is not a shot at the written word. There's more written word now than ever before with the Internet. It's as important or more important now with the quantity of content that's out there. But today, the stories are written with video, and the video shows it. Like Jim Edmonds' great diving catch. Most of them were a dive after the ball had hit his glove.
Yeah.
Right? We now know that, so Jim Edmonds is known kind of as a flopper. Right? Made great catches, made one incredible catch here in those awful Angel uniforms
David Howard.
Over the shoulder. That was fantastic. But the video tells the whole story, and that's one where when you see the video, you're right, of the flying goal. But on newspaper stands everywhere, what was going on then was, the guy flying through the air, and that was the still shot that was magically captured by a great photographer. I don't know who it was, but it was a great shot. And back then it was like you had to set your camera up and be ready for it and then just hope that action occurred where you'd set your camera up. It wasn't like nowadays where it's just like, and you fire off 500 shots and, you have 500 shots of a 1 second thing occurring. Whoever got that shot either got super, super lucky or was a master photographer to get that shot. So, it was amazing. With the Champions League and everything that's going on and the great comebacks we saw, I'm curious, what's the narrative there? Do we have heroic wins by Liverpool and Tottenham, or are the losers being heralded as the GOAT?
Well, since I'm the closest to Barcelona and was in Barcelona up to 2 days before the game, or actually the day before the game, and arrived there the day after they seemingly had basically put the series away, or the two-game set away with a 3-0 victory, and it was all positive then. This is like, if you think people are negative about bad performances in this country, I mean, you got to be kidding. Here, I'll read you a couple of these. Catalan publication Sport gave a damning assessment of the Barcelona performance, calling it the worst night of recent decades, maybe history, adding that Barca players played like they were nauseous, as if they'd gone weeks without sleep or breathing. Also, multiple players were given zeros for the game in the 1 out of 10 ranking. Messi did get 5, by the way. But Messi, apparently, they left him in the locker room because he didn't want to get in the team bus. He was in tears. And then he eventually went to the airport and apparently was berated by a large group of Barcelona fans trying to get on to an airplane. So yes, it's considered an absolute and utter disaster. And to understand the magnitude of what this means to communities, you just have to be at places like this. I mean, Lionel Messi has an $80 million a year contract to play, and then he makes about $30 million in outside income. So he made $110 million last year. I'm telling you what, that dude is worth every single penny. You can't spit far enough to not see a number 10 jersey or T-shirt when you're in Barcelona. And everybody is making money off that guy. So when it goes wrong, and it's gone wrong for Messi at the biggest moments a lot of times in his career, not necessarily at the Champions League level where they've had a lot of success, but they've come up short to Real Madrid several times. And then his World Cup performance record is not very good at all either. So he's kind of one of those players, sort of Peyton Manning-like, I guess is might be a good example. Manning did get the one, but or the two eventually, the second one sort of on the backs of others. And if he hadn't gotten that second one, it might be more similar to Messi, who has had, he's been the greatest player in the world or in the conversation for a decade now, and yet there's been many moments like this for him as well. Wow.
I just looked it up. I'm like, God, can that possibly be right? And I looked up one thing. It says Lionel Messi, highest paid soccer player, earning $111 million, taking home $84 million in salary and winnings, and another $27 million in endorsements. Good.
Pretty sweet.
Wow. Let's see, Lionel Messi contract. I want to see what the contract is.
$50 million salary, $30 million bonus, I believe.
Is that what is he? What bonus is it?
I think it was a signing bonus. He signed that contract in 2017, and I think it's for an annual salary of $50 million. That's euro, by the way. No, it's 45 million euros. That's about $50 million. And then I think there was a signing bonus of like $100 million spread over a certain amount of time.
So yeah, here it is. Now it seems no other club can afford to go knocking on Barca's door for him anytime soon. With the signing, the club confirmed his new buyout clause is set at $835 million, more than double his previous clause of $357 million. According to Spanish paper El Mundo, Messi will receive a $59.6 million signing bonus. Two Forbes sources say he will earn $667,000 a week. Last season, he made $50 million in salary and bonus for his efforts on the pitch. Wow.
Yes, indeed. And like I said, for him and the kind of interest he generates and the kind of sales of merchandise and everything else, I would say he's well worth it. You often talk about, like, say, Bill Self being underpaid. I'm not saying he's underpaid. I mean, that's a ridiculous amount of pay, but he's earning it. He's making a lot of people a lot of money.
Combined with his $30 million in endorsement income, anchored by his lifetime deal with German sportswear giant Adidas, and including new deal with Spanish sunglass maker Hawkers for a signature line, the 5-time Ballon d'Or winner, which is the best player in the world, could make over $130 million by this current campaign's end. Among the highest paid in the world, he'd be sandwiched between Floyd Mayweather, who earned, this is obviously a year or two old, who earned in excess of $200 million, and his August 2017 opponent Conor McGregor, who earned an estimated $105 million. Unbelievable.